Manufacturing is growing because we're becoming more productive. The story of really the past decade is that manufacturing job loss has been significant. There's no doubting that. We've lost about 200,000 manufacturing workers over the past 25 years. But what has offset that is gains in productivity and efficiency. So we're doing more with less. We're still able to compete globally to make things, products, innovations here in Northeast Ohio. We're just doing it with less people. Productivity has increased by about 93% over the past 25 years and is projected to grow another 70%. So it's the mix of products we're making, how we're making it, and the remaining workforce that is in place, which is still the second largest sector of employment, continues to be extremely competitive. Sure, so three sectors that we're fairly hopeful about are transportation equipment, which most people think of as automotive. We have a strong automotive heritage here, second only really to Michigan in terms of the relevance of our supply chain to the big four, big three. The transportation industry is increasing significantly, largely because consumers through the recession weren't purchasing new vehicles. The average age of a car on the road is about 12 years old right now, so as consumers look to enter into new vehicles, that bodes well for us, being such a big supply chain state. Chemicals is also something we do very well here. We have a strong legacy of chemicals down in Akron, the polymer capital of the world. Have long used chemicals, and with the emerging Utica shale opportunity and what that positions us for a long-term chemical push that could really inject new natural gases and wet gases into our chemical processes that we haven't seen in this country in decades. There's less people, to be sure. We went from about 450,000 workers down to a little over 250,000 workers. So as I mentioned earlier, we're doing more with less people. So it is smaller, but it's competitive. Productivity is up. Many segments of our manufacturing economy continue to grow. It's still the largest private sector of output in the entire economy, projected to grow to about $53 billion in the coming decade. So it's competitive. It's seeing continued reshoring opportunities from Mexico, from Europe, into places that we thought we had lost jobs for a long time. And I think going forward, it's well positioned to remain competitive. Frankly, our growth has been a bit slower than the U.S. growth overall. That said, our economy has been transitioning for the better part of a couple of decades now. We have diversified not just our manufacturing base, but our entire economy to look more like the U.S. economy. And that was a painful period of transition for Northeast Ohio. But that said, we've emerged from it with not only a competitive manufacturing sector, but other competitive sectors like headquarters, like professional services, legal, finance. We have an overall more diverse and healthier economy, and that's helping us to, going forward, compete more with the U.S. and perform more like the U.S. Innovation is huge, particularly to manufacturers. Companies that have a long history of building things in Northeast Ohio, say Eaton, for example, only continue to survive on their ability to innovate through new products and processes. So what we're really trying to do is to connect our innovation clusters, our emerging technologies and processes and products with our existing driver industries, many of which fall into manufacturing, and to say how do we keep our manufacturing base competitive and growing through new innovations and technologies. And that's not just the products that they're producing, but also the processes that are helping them produce those products more efficiently. So job growth overall in manufacturing is essentially flat. We declined by about 22% during the recession, gained about 10% of those jobs back. However, we're probably at about a leveled off period in terms of where manufacturing employment is projected to stay for the next decade or so, right around 250,000 jobs, which is not insignificant by any means. The challenge going forward now is a lot of the manufacturing workforce tends to be slightly older, is retiring, is leaving the workforce. So how are we going to replace those folks? We projected to have about 50,000 job openings in the coming decade in manufacturing production occupations, so things like welders and machinists. We need to find talented young people who view those as good job and career opportunities, because they are high-paying, above-average wages in sectors that look nothing like what we think of our grandparents and parents working in. These are clean sectors, involve a lot of math and technology development. So the challenge going forward is, how do we build the workforce and the set of skills that we need to continue to fuel our manufacturing base? And if we can figure out that question, we're certainly well positioned. There are a lot of people, with a lot of efforts trying really hard to figure that question out. We certainly have a strong network of workforce institutions throughout Northeast Ohio, many focused on different sort of levers that they can pull. Strong network of community colleges who are training folks to get into careers in manufacturing. But we can always do more. Some of it relies on the companies. What role does the company have in training employees to get them the skills that they need? How can we do more in customized training in conjunction with our community colleges and with our local workforce institutions? So how can we bring it all together to really show that if you need talent here in Northeast Ohio, whether you're a company that's here or a company that's considering coming here, we can fill that gap for you. And I think we're doing it well, but we can always do it better.